Your responsibility is fortitude. That's to lead, guide, protect, and provide.
This is a journey.
Let me take you on a journey.
There will still be the journey.
The journey.
New sheriff in town, and his name is The Journey.
Journey.
This thing is bigger than Nino Brown. This is
The Journey.
The journey.
What is it that moved you?
The Journey. The Journey. The Journey. The Journey. The Journey.
Welcome back to another edition of The Journey. My name is Larry Robinson, and today we have a Memphis icon that you probably know. Many of you do. But before we get to our icon, let me give you our quote for the day. Our quote for the day comes from the great Desmond Tutu, God rest his soul. My humanity is bound in yours, for we can only be human together. Why that quote today? Well, our Memphis icon has a gathering spot. He has multiple gathering spots. And what I find in cigar bars is that people are humans and they're being human. Doesn't matter what color you are, it doesn't matter what gender you are. So that's why that quote was very important. My humanity is bound up in yours, for we can only be human together. With this brother, we can truly be human together. We got Robb Hunter, straight out of Tampa, Florida, college and pro football player. Don't let the smooth taste fool you. Restaurateur, came to here, launched Captain D's, entrepreneur, multiple businesses, but he's known for his cigar business. He's a trendsetter. Without further ado, we have brother Robb Hunter.
Thank you, sir.
Robb Hunter in the house.
Larry,
what's up,
humble,
brother?
Man. Everything's well.
Bethune-Cookman graduate.
That's right.
I mean, just straight out of Florida. Florida always, they say people from Florida a little different.
Well, I'll tell you why they're different, Larry. First of all, let me say that I'm humble, and I really thank you and KUDZUKIAN, all your staff for this invitation. I mean, it's really an honor.
Thank you.
And I appreciate all the work that you do, and I mean that. I'm just as serious as I am dog.
Sure.
And Ray Charles said how dog I am. All right? Very proud of it. All right?
Well, I'm proud of you. I'm proud to know you because many don't know. Robb is a business mentor of mine and really someone who I look up to because of the way you've been able to build. Mm-hmm. You've been able to scale.
Right.
So I want to know, where did it all start? Go back to Tampa, Florida. Tell us about the family and tell us about the community you was raised in.
Well, Tampa, back in the 50s when I was born, and 60s and 70s during my childhood, it was a melting pot.
Okay.
Meaning my neighbors were Hispanic, Cuban, Italian, and Black.
Okay.
And it may come across as comical, but I'm very serious. We didn't grow up poor.
Okay.
We did not grow up po. We grew up
You couldn't even get the other letters out.
Couldn't get it out.
You grew up poor.
Couldn't get it out. So at the end of the day, we were all that we had.
Right.
And we had to make the best of it.
Define we.
We is my mother with 6 children.
Okay.
No man in the house.
Okay.
In a 4-room house. Even to this day, Larry, I've never called a man dad in my life. And when I met that guy, I was trying to play football at that time. And when I first met him, and the only time I met him, he was in a casket.
Oh, wow.
Sadly, I sat on the friend's side of the church. And when I got the program, I looked for my name, particularly concerned I was named after him. My name was nowhere in it. It's funny now because...
I'm sure that was pretty painful.
Oh, painful is understatement. I remember my sister, who was not his child, said, you need to go to that funeral so you can have some closing. And I said, hell, and nothing ever opened. So, how could we close, But I tell you...
Well, hold on. Don't go too far in it because the second segment, we're going to get deep in it.
Okay.
Who outside of your parents or inside of your household had the biggest impact on young Robb?
Well, it was the women. That's a great question. My mother, my grandmother, and my sister.
Okay, outside of the family, outside of the household, who had the biggest impact?
My college professor.
Really? What's his name?
His name was Hakeem.
Hakeem. Okay.
And let me tell you this quick story.
Okay.
Back in the 70s, when you graduated from high school, for the most part, you was an athlete and you had an opportunity to go to college. You know, and to be noted that I'm first generation high school graduate, college attendant, that kind of thing. Most boys' major was PE, physical education, right?
Right.
So at that time, there was no cell phones and computers, and you do anything online.
Right.
You stood in that hot ass gym.
Right.
You know, so I'm standing in line, and the professor comes up and say, "Hey, what's your name?"
Okay.
He said, "You're the guy transferred from the University of Miami, right?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "You're a running back, right?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "What's your name?" I said, "You know my name." He said, "No, I don't. What is it?" I said, "My name is Robb Hunter." You know, I was swole up and all that kind of stuff then.
Right.
And he said, "What does that mean?" I said, "I mean, Robb." He said, "What does that mean?" I said, "That's the name my mother gave me." He said, "Oh, so you're in the PE line, you're gonna graduate and teach people how to play kickball."
Whoa.
He said, "What do you know about yourself? What do you know about your people?"
Okay, now we're gonna come back to that.
Okay.
We're gonna come back to that. What do you know about your people? So let's put a pin there. Moving right along. When did you know you were gonna be okay, Robb? When did you know that I can do this thing called life?
When I walked up to that casket and I looked down and I saw that man that looked just like me, maybe 20 years different.
Okay.
And when I looked in the front row, there were other boys that looked just like me. And that was the defining point for me, that I knew that I was responsible for my actions.
Right.
And that one day I have an opportunity to be a father, and I'd be damned if they were going to feel about me the way I felt about him.
Okay.
So
How different are you from the dreams of your childhood? The person that you always thought you were going to be, how different are you today?
Very different, because I made liars out of so many people. They told me that I wasn't going to be nothing because I grew up with a speech impediment. And, you know, I was made to believe that I was a social misfit. And at the end of the day, you can imagine, even now I'm only 5'6", so this is the tallest I've ever been in my life.
We got a person here at the office we call the tall general.
That's right.
So we're gonna call you the tall
That's right.
entrepreneur.
There you go. So, you know, I just wanted to be different. You know, I didn't have a lot of role models or anything like that. I never spent the night with an uncle or a grandpapa or anything like that.
Okay.
You know, and because I was a middle child, because I made better grades, you know, I took some ownership, you know, and I always knew that if I was smarter than my peers,
Right.
you know, then I would have an opportunity to set examples.
Okay.
You know, and at the end of the day, you either lead, follow, or get the hell out the way.
There you go. There you go. Last question of the segment. When was that moment that you realized that you were a black man?
Okay.
Hold on for a second. Listen, we're going to be right back where Robb's going to share with us when he realized that not only was he dark-skinned, but he was a brother. So listen, stay right there. This is The Journey on the KUDZUKIAN Network. Welcome back to The Journey. Today we have Brother Robb Hunter, entrepreneur, father, many, many aspects and facets to this brother. Before we left, we asked Robb about the time he realized he was a black man Rob?
Well, I like to say, I wish it's the day I was born, but it wasn't. You know, in this country, we deal with so many different facets of racism. Some from different cultures and ethnicities, some in-house, ingrown.
Right.
But to answer your questions directly, I think that defining moment for me was when I realized that as a man, who I was and what I would become had little to nothing to do with just the color of my skin.
Unpack that.
Simply because black is just not a color, it's a conscience and a culture. You understand? And when I became more educated about me as a black man, not just a black man, lad, but a black king, you understand? Now I know that my sister is not a bitch or a hoe, she's a queen, or she's a sister, you understand? I also realize that what people think of me don't define me.
Right.
You know, you can call me the N-word all you want to, but I know inside that I am a king. I know inside that because you look like me, don't necessarily, because you're my color, don't necessarily mean you my kind. You understand? Right. Because we have a responsibility to each other.
Right.
Then more importantly, Larry, for me, I had to learn that I'm gonna make some mistakes. I'm gonna make some bad decisions. You know, I ran with the boys in the hood. You know, I got locked up a time or two.
Okay.
You know, but I probably got knocked down about 40 times. But it was that 41st time that I got my behind up.
Right.
That I realized because I'm a black man, because I came from kingship, you know what I mean, that I can and I will.
Right.
And at the end of the day, because I make a mistake doesn't mean that mistake make me.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I kept trying and I kept trying and I kept trying. And then at the end of the day, I live a life like the stars in the sky.
Right.
One star don't light the sky up.
Right.
It take a whole lot of them.
Take a
whole lot of them working together. You know what I mean? And they ain't hating on each other.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's why with my businesses, I never introduce myself as owner, founder, CEO, I'm the creator. You know what I mean? Because for me, it's not important that I am the only one. I'm glad that I'm the first one. Now I got to set the example.
Right.
So for me being a black man, when I found out that I was a black man, wasn't because, you know, the police grabbed me and choked me, Okay. You know, I'm a firm believer that the only way a man can hold you down, he got to lay down there with you. And when he get up, then you got to get up too.
Right.
You know, and for those that made worse mistakes than I did,
right.
I learned from them.
Right.
You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, the bad decisions that I made, I decided not to let those bad decisions make me.
Right.
Like now, when I go home to Florida, right?
Right.
I go and hang out up under the tree with some of the old brothers. They're like, "Oh, Rob, man, I remember when you used to do this and do that."
Uh-huh.
I said, "Okay, Skeeter, tell me what you got on your 18th birthday." "Man, I don't know." "Well, how in the hell you remember what I did when I was 18? You know what I mean?
Oh,
You know
I got to
what I mean?
use that one.
Yes, sir.
I always hear about who I was.
That's right. That's right. Let's talk about who I am. You know what I mean? And come go with me so that we can make you better.
Right.
And then I'm going to charge you to make somebody else better.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's how it becomes full circle.
Absolutely. Wow. Wow. Okay, let's go back. Rewind it. Family life. Tampa. What was that like? What was the dynamic? Where were you in the hierarchy of your siblings and in the family?
Well, I was the middle child.
Okay.
And we have heard stories about the middle child. You know, wow. You're the first to know what I'm about to tell you.
Okay.
Because my name is Hunter, all the other siblings had different names, last names.
Okay.
Okay. So I grew up thinking that all my friends, if they had the same last name, I thought something was wrong with them. You know.
Wait a minute. So when your friends had the same last name as their parents or their siblings, You thought it was something wrong with them.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now that's normalizing trauma.
Yeah. And I had a speech impediment,
Right.
and I had a bedwetting problem until I was 15. So that was a lot of embarrassment, a lot of ridicule. You know, back in the 60s and 70s, speech impediment called stuttering wasn't socially accepted.
Right.
You understand? I would have teachers and adults stomp when I'm talking, get it out, or pat me on the back, or, you know, they come up and make a mockery, you know, and trying to mimic me when they talking to me and so forth, you know.
Oh,
But that was traumatic for me. But as I said earlier, I did not let it define me, you know.
when did you say, I don't give a damn what y'all saying? When did that happen? What was that moment?
That happened at my HBCU.
Really?
Absolutely.
Bethune-Cookman.
Bethune-Cookman. Simply because then the professors wasn't just certified, Larry, but they were qualified.
Right.
Meaning that they genuinely cared about you. You know, I'm a firm believer that a person don't care about how much you know until they know about how much you care. You understand?
Say that one more time.
A person don't care about how much you know until they know about how much you care.
Absolutely.
Because at the end of the day, all of us want to feel like we belong to something or to someone that's going to inspire the best out of us.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's what the HBCU did for me. That is when I started studying all the triumph. You know what I mean? Because we're always inundated with the tragedy of us.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
You can look at the television now and you see Feed the Kids. You got flies growing, landing on the little kid's nose and so forth. I say to myself, hell, can't the cameraman feed him? You know what I mean? You know, but they don't talk about how rich and how enriched our country is.
Right.
You know what I mean? With all the minerals and jewels and all that. And so, you know, it was there when I landed at HBCU that I realized, wow, this is what blackness is about. You know what I mean? This is what I can is about.
Right.
You know, this is the journey.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And that is what motivated me and inspired me, you know, because I always say, and I will always say that our youth will be what they see.
Mm-hmm.
So when I saw students around me striving, you know what I mean, to be the best in their family.
Absolutely.
Let's go back to family.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because I remember when I graduated, my principal said, he said, is this your neighborhood and your community? I said, no, sir, it's my family. Because from slavery until the mid-70s, no one in my family had ever been to a high school graduation. So I had aunts and uncles and all of them coming from.
Wait a minute now.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Now, you had a pretty big nuclear family together. Y'all had not had anybody graduate from high school.
In our family, no, sir. No, sir.
Wow.
So, you know, that was another defining moment in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention to get the opportunity to go to college, you know.
Where was the support from? Because if no one went to college, no one's been beyond high school, where did the support come and where did the push come for you to go to college?
The motivation was to get out and make things better for my mama.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
And if I made it better for my mama, I made it better for my siblings.
Okay.
You know, I always had aspirations to be this Hall of Fame football player.
Right.
You know, then I had a rude awakening. I go to University of Miami, and we are
Wait a minute, Rob. You went to one of the most storied powerhouse colleges for football at 5'6"?
Yeah. But you know, I had a little speed and a little strength. You know what I mean? And you know, because I grew up in the hood, I wasn't scared.
Yeah, brother. So you was going through that thing.
Please believe it. Please believe it.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
But sadly, watch this. Goes back to when we went to skill position meeting.
Right.
You know, back in the 70s, most running backs was 5'6", 5'7", 5'8", okay? And being a blue chipper
Right.
You know what I mean? The top 20 athletes in the state.
Right.
Back then, there was no ESPN and all that kind of stuff.
What was
like
your
that.
40? What was your 40 speed?
Back then, we didn't run 40. We ran the 100.
Okay.
And my 100 was a 9.4.
You ran a 9.4?
9.4, 9.5. Yeah.
You was picking
But
them
more
up and putting
importantly,
down,
I'm
brother.
proud to say I was bench pressing about 350.
Uh-oh.
And I had them horses.
Oh,
you know what I
yeah,
mean?
you had them horses
Yeah, I had
for
them
real.
horses, man. Yeah.
Wow.
So, when I go to Miami, I didn't realize because I had no uncles, no brothers, no cousins, none of those individuals in my family, in my life that could tell me what I might expect.
Right.
Right? So I go there and I go into this skill position meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody in there is 6'2" and 6'3". So I leave. The coach say, Rob, where you going? I said, I'm going in the meeting with the running back and say, you just left it. I was like, Scooby-Doo. Where them big boys come from?
Right.
But it came from the Colorados and the Texas and the Tennessees and so forth. You know what I mean?
Right.
Then I got redshirted. And because I was uneducated or miseducated, didn't understand what red shirt meant. I thought, again, it was being prejudiced or racist, didn't want me to play. I never rode the bench in my life. You know what I mean? So I transferred to Bethune-Cookman, and that was the best thing
That's
that ever
why
happened.
you transferred to Bethune?
Yeah. That's how I got
Wow.
to Bethune. So what that means is that what I thought was happening to me was actually happening for me. There it was.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's talk about mulligans. If you had to do it all over again, mistakes in life, what's one of those things you would say, man, God, if I could have a do-over on that one, what would that be?
It's interesting. That would be fight through it, through my marriage,
Okay.
and regardless, give my kids something that I never had.
Mm.
That is mom and dad in the household every day. Because our children, for me, is our most valuable customer. You know what I mean? They're our biggest asset, and the same breath, our biggest investment. And now that I've had some pretty good success at business, and that's all because of, regardless of the situation, how I managed it with my customers. And as I look back, I probably would have managed the marriage differently, at least so my children can grow up and not have to tell the story that I tell. Although the family's never been dysfunctional, the only thing they miss is dad waking up in the house every day. But still, I didn't know how that felt as a child, and sadly, didn't know how it felt as an adult. So if I had to do one thing different, it would probably be that.
What was it like watching your son get married?
I turned around so no one would see me, but I cried. Man, it was such an emotional moment because that was a time when he had found the love of his life. And we talked about it, a year before then, and every month after, And, at the end of the day, who you love is who you love, I've had people that have asked me, what do you think about your son marrying this person, and so forth. Well, at the end of the day, a mouth can tell a lie all day. I say you can build a house with your mouth. Or the time to pour the concrete is something different.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So at the end of the day, I firmly believe that two hearts can't lie. You know what I mean?
Right.
And my son asked, he said, Dad, what would you tell me that would make me know that it's okay to marry this person? I said, son, that is when you have determined, and with every fiber in your body, that you don't want to live another day of your life without this person. And at the end of the day, she respects you and protect you. But your responsibility is four-tier. That's to lead, guide, protect, and provide. You know what I mean? And that has nothing to do with how much money you got or what have you.
A man's
You know what I mean?
role is to
Lead, guide,
guide,
protect, and provide. Absolutely.
Got it.
So that was the the great moment for me when he got married. Now, they've only been married a year, so we'll see what happens.
Greatest success. What's the one thing when you look in the mirror and you can be like, well, I did that thing. What's your greatest success?
More than making money, more than making friends, is making a difference.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was the time you made a difference that you can point to?
Well, one of your frat brothers. I'm gonna bring it very recent. He came to me as a young kid out of Lemoyne, Owens, and he was curious about the cigar industry, and I gave him a job. He got beside himself, and in 45 years, I never fired anybody. They fired themselves. Unfortunately, I had to tell him. So one time, I didn't tell him he fired himself. He went away and got lost, came back, prodigal son.
Right.
And hired him back, and we did it a third time. You know what I mean? We can either say 3 strikes you're out, or the third time was a charm.
Right.
You know what I mean?
We gonna find out.
That's right, we gonna find out. So, he's done a remarkable job, and now I've helped him get employed somewhere else, and he's doing well. He's proposed to get married. He's thinking about having a family. Awesome. And every day, he's always praising our relationship. You know what I mean? And a defining moment, Larry, is when, particularly as an entrepreneur, oftentimes you have to separate employment with people, okay? Well, watch this. When they come back and spend their time at your business doing their leisure, man, that's a great feeling.
I bet.
Okay?
I bet.
You had to do something right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It goes beyond the paycheck.
Right.
Because it's easy to get mad and jacked up about your employer because he fired me or she fired me or da-da-da.
Right.
But when you help a person understand that they fired themselves, you understand? And they come back and patronize your business and they put your business on social media.
Right.
You know what I
right.
mean? And help promote your business. That's the greatest feeling in the world.
All right. All right. Talking to your younger self, you go back to Tampa, it's kids watching cartoons, sitting there. Old Robb walks in the door. What would you say to that guy right there?
I would say to him, those times when you ran away from home and slept in the woods for weeks, and I would tell him that they're gonna keep you back in the 3rd grade because you stutter real bad and they think you're dumb. But don't be dismayed, don't be discouraged, you're not dumb. You know what I mean? You just don't talk like them.
Right, right.
You know what I mean? And keep the faith and keep the focus. And one day you'll be talking to the whole world.
There you go, there you go.
So.
All right, last thing is, it's a lot of young boys, a lot of young men. Just as I've come to Havana Mix and sat there and listened to you, I want you to leave them with a Robbism. Speak in that camera right there and give them something that they can take from this moment that they can enhance their life with.
Right. Well, what I like to say is that first and foremost, it takes both rain and sunshine to make a rainbow. And everybody want a damn rainbow in their life. And pain is good. Pain lets you know that there's some healing coming. We can prevent being paralyzed. And what that means is we're gonna make mistakes, that's pain. We're gonna make some bad decisions, that's pain, okay? But those decisions don't have to make you. And the most important person in your life is you. You can't give something that you don't have. So you got to find that inner peace. And don't be defined by things. It doesn't matter by who have the biggest tires on their cars, who have the most jewelry, or who have the finest clothes, because that don't have a darn thing to do with your heart. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, to grow yourself, you got to know yourself. So take time to learn, take time to educate. And let me say this, college ain't for everybody. It ain't. You know what I mean? But knowledge is for everybody. And that's what you got to do. You got to be responsible for your own actions. And you ain't got to hang with nobody to be big. I am 5'6". I ain't never had to have a crowd. You know what I mean? The crowd always followed me. And that's because in my mind and in my heart, I knew that I was going to be a leader. And guess what? It feels damn good being number one. And watch this. When you're number one, everybody make you prove it. So they keep you grounded and they keep you running harder and running faster. You can.
To thine own self, be true. Be true. Know thyself. Couldn't have said it any better. Brother Robb.
My man.
Thank you,
Appreciate
sir.
you. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you for all that you've fed into me, that you feed into others, and thank you for sharing your journey.
Thank you for the invite.
Listen, this is The Journey. Larry Robinson, for my guest, Robb Hunter. Come back, because we're going to keep bringing these amazing Memphis icons to you every single time. Till the next time, peace. Thank you to our partner, the Grand Boulé of Sigma Pi Phi Fraternity Delta Chapter. To hear more incredible stories like this, be sure to download the KUDZUKIAN app from the App Store or Google Play, or check out the Journey Memphis podcast on all your major podcast providers. Also, check us out on the KUDZUKIAN Network.